The fairy lights strung across the garden twinkled like a scene from a bridal magazine, but all I could think about was how badly my shoes pinched. "Relax, Emma," my best friend and maid of honor Hannah whispered as we lined up for the wedding rehearsal. "You look like you're heading to a dentist appointment, not your dream wedding." I forced a smile and tried to focus on the man standing at the end of the aisle. Ethan Prescott. My fiancé. Tall, handsome, impeccably dressed in his charcoal suit, and smiling that politician's smile that had charmed me from the start. He was everything a girl was supposed to want. Stable job, dazzling grin, family money, and, bonus points, his mother already adored me. So why did my stomach feel like it was full of bees? The officiant cleared his throat, waving for us to begin. Bridesmaids and groomsmen paired off, music hummed faintly from a Bluetooth speaker, and I took a deep breath as my father offered me his arm. It wasn't the real thing, just a rehearsal, but my throat still tightened. Tomorrow, I'd walk this same path and end my single life forever. I glanced again at Ethan. He was distracted, checking his phone even as the bridesmaids glided down the aisle. I tried not to let the sting show. He was busy. He was always busy. That was just Ethan. "Don't trip," my dad muttered, nudging me gently. I smiled, stepping forward. And then from the corner of my eye, I saw him. Liam Prescott. Ethan's identical twin brother. The black sheep. The other Prescott son. The one who lived in ripped jeans and sarcasm instead of tailored suits and ambition. He leaned lazily against the gazebo, arms crossed, smirk tugging at his lips as though the entire wedding circus was one big comedy act. Our eyes met, and heat crept up my neck. He gave me a mock salute. I looked away, clutching my bouquet tighter. "Focus," my dad muttered again. "Right. Focus on Ethan. The man I loved. The man I was marrying. The man who, oh, for heaven's sake, was still texting as I walked toward him." The rehearsal ceremony droned on, full of polite laughter and interruptions from my mother correcting flower placements and Ethan's mother reminding us of Prescott family traditions. My smile started to feel glued on, and my heels felt like torture devices. By the time the officiant declared the rehearsal finished, I was ready to collapse. Which apparently I did. 1 second I was standing, smiling politely at everyone's congratulations. The next, the ground tilted, the fairy lights blurred, and my bouquet slipped from my hands. "Emma!" Hannah's voice echoed as darkness swept in. When I opened my eyes, I was staring up at a ceiling fan spinning lazily overhead. My head throbbed. My mouth was dry. And someone was holding my hand. "Emma? You with me?" I blinked. Ethan sat beside me, smiling, but something felt off. His hair was slightly mussed. His tie loosened. And his eyes, dark, mischievous, sparking with amusement instead of impatience. Not Ethan. Liam. My heart thudded. "What are you? Where? What happened?" "You fainted. Took a pretty spectacular dive. 10 out of 10 for drama." His grin widened. "Don't worry. You only flattened 2 hydrangea arrangements." I groaned, covering my face. "Perfect. Just perfect." "Where's Ethan?" "Busy," Liam said lightly. "He had to take a call. Something about a client in Singapore." "He asked me to keep an eye on you." Of course he did. My fiancé was probably discussing stocks while I was sprawled in the grass. I pushed myself up, ignoring the dizziness, and Liam steadied me with a surprisingly gentle grip. His hand was warm against my arm. Too warm. Too steady. "Thanks," I mumbled. "Don't mention it, Mrs. Prescott." I froze. "What did you just call me?" He smirked. "Relax. Just practicing. Tomorrow's the big day." "Right. Tomorrow. Not tonight. Tomorrow." Still, something about the way he said it made goosebumps race across my skin. I shook it off and stood. I should get back to the party. But as I walked away, Liam's voice followed me, low and teasing. "Better watch yourself, Emma. You might just marry the wrong twin if you're not careful." The next 24 hours blurred together in a haze of flowers, family chatter, and too many to-do lists. Hannah flitted around like a caffeinated fairy godmother, Ethan's mother barked orders at the caterers, and my mom insisted on re-steaming my veil at least twice. By the time I stepped into my gown the next afternoon, I was exhausted. My head still pounded faintly from the rehearsal fainting incident, and my nerves buzzed like I'd swallowed a swarm of bees. "Deep breaths," Hannah whispered as she adjusted my train. "You're glowing." "I'm sweating," I muttered. She grinned. "Same thing." The music swelled. My father took my arm again, smiling with watery eyes. And suddenly I was walking down the aisle for real this time. Except it felt strangely like déjà vu. The same fairy lights, the same gazebo, the same crowd of relatives craning for photos. I blinked rapidly, my head spinning. This was it. The real wedding. The moment I'd planned for months. The moment I was supposed to feel like a princess. So why did it still feel like a rehearsal? At the altar, Ethan waited, his tall frame outlined by sunlight streaming through the garden archway. He looked perfect. Sharp suit, polished smile, handsome as ever. I focused on that smile. On the promise it represented. Stability. A future. A family. My hands shook as I placed my bouquet aside. My dad kissed my cheek, then placed my hand into Ethan's. Except, his grip felt different. Warmer. Rougher. His thumb brushed mine in a way that sent a strange jolt through me. I glanced up. My breath caught. It wasn't Ethan. Liam stood in front of me, tuxedo crisp, hair combed for once, mischief barely hidden in his eyes. I froze. "What? Vows?" the officiant interrupted, smiling. "Let's begin." No. No, no, no. This wasn't right. My head spun again, that fainting dizziness swooping back. I must still be out of it. This had to be another rehearsal. Right. Except the crowd wasn't laughing politely this time. They were beaming, clapping, snapping photos. My mother dabbed her eyes with a tissue. Hannah mouthed breathe. And Liam. Liam leaned closer, whispering with a grin. "Relax, Mrs. Prescott. Just go with it." I wanted to protest, to scream, to stop the madness, but the officiant's voice rolled on, steady and unstoppable. "Do you, Emma Grace Collins, take this man?" The words washed over me. I stared at Liam, at the wicked tilt of his mouth, at the dark spark in his eyes. My tongue felt glued to the roof of my mouth. Somehow I nodded. My lips moved. "I do." Applause erupted. My vision tunneled. Surely this was some bizarre dream. Surely I'd wake up any second. "Do you, Liam Alexander Prescott, take this woman?" He didn't hesitate. He didn't even blink. "I do." And then his lips were on mine. Firm, confident, sending another electric jolt through me that I absolutely, positively should not have felt. The crowd roared. Someone whistled. And just like that I was married. To the wrong twin. The chaos that followed felt like a slapstick comedy I hadn't auditioned for. Relatives hugged me, champagne glasses clinked, cameras flashed. Everyone seemed blissfully unaware that the bride was one step away from fainting. Again. I tugged Liam aside, my voice sharp. "What just happened?" He raised a brow, sipping champagne. "We got married. You were there. To you. Not Ethan." His smirk faded slightly, replaced by a flicker of something unreadable. "You said yes, Emma. In front of everyone. I thought it was rehearsal." "Really?" "Because the legal paperwork begs to differ." He waved the marriage certificate like it was a winning lottery ticket. My stomach plummeted. This couldn't be real. I spotted Ethan across the lawn, deep in conversation with his father and, was he checking his phone again? He didn't even look upset. Just, detached. I turned back to Liam, hissing, "We need to fix this. Annul it. Now." "Sure," he said easily, leaning against a pillar. "But you'll have to tell everyone. Including your mother. And my mother. And every single person who just posted your wedding kiss on Instagram." My blood ran cold. He grinned. "Relax. We can figure it out. In the meantime, you're stuck with me." I gaped at him. "You're enjoying this." "Maybe a little." His eyes softened though, just for a moment. "But don't worry, Emma. I'll play the part. No one has to know it wasn't what you planned." He raised his glass in a mock toast. "To the happiest mistake of your life." If I smiled any harder, my face was going to crack. "Doesn't she look radiant?" my mother cooed, clutching Ethan's mother's hand as though they just brokered a peace treaty. "She certainly does." Mrs. Prescott agreed, though her sharp eyes were already critiquing my veil arrangement. And Liam, my goodness, I never thought I'd see the day you actually stood still in a tuxedo. Miracles do happen. I nearly choked on my champagne. Liam. She'd actually said his name. Out loud. In public. As if this was totally, utterly normal. I forced a laugh. Funny joke. No one laughed with me. Instead, Mrs. Prescott patted Liam's arm proudly. I always knew one of my sons would marry Emma. Just didn't realize it would be you. My champagne glass nearly slipped from my fingers. I pulled Liam into a corner, hissing, "They all think this is real." "Why do they all think this is real?" "Because it is real," he said, annoyingly calm, as though we were discussing the weather. We signed the license, exchanged vows, kissed for the cameras. Textbook marriage. No, no, no. This wasn't supposed to happen. My voice cracked. I was supposed to marry Ethan. Yeah. His gaze sharpened, the teasing melting into something more cutting. Then why didn't he stop it? The question hit like a slap. I looked across the garden. Ethan was still on his phone, his perfect smile plastered on as his uncle cornered him about investments. He hadn't even looked over once during the entire fiasco. I swallowed. He probably didn't realize. Or maybe, Liam interrupted softly, he realized and didn't care. I opened my mouth, closed it again. Words failed me. Before I could come up with a retort, Hannah appeared, nearly vibrating with excitement. "You guys," she squealed. "You were amazing. The kiss. Oh my God, it looked like something out of a movie. Half the guests were crying. It was an accident," I blurted. Hannah blinked. "The kiss. The marriage." Her eyes darted between us. "Wait. You're not joking. Do I look like I'm joking?" My voice was bordering on hysterical. Liam, the traitor, grinned. "She's just overwhelmed. You know brides." Hannah tilted her head, suspicious, but the band struck up a song and someone whisked her away for photos. I sagged against the pillar, groaning. "I can't do this. I can't fake being married to you." "Sure you can," Liam said easily, downing the rest of his champagne. "You're good at smiling through things that make you miserable. I've seen you with Ethan." My jaw dropped. "Excuse me. Come on, Emma. Don't look at me like that. You think I don't notice the way he's always somewhere else? Always distracted? Always leaving you standing there like a prop while he checks stock reports?" The words stung because they were true. I crossed my arms, glaring at him. "And what about you? You've been nothing but a thorn in my side since the day we met." His grin returned, infuriatingly. "Exactly. Which means I'm great at this role. I'll keep everyone entertained while you figure out what you want." "I know what I want," I snapped. "Do you?" His gaze lingered on mine, too steady, too knowing. I hated how my stomach flipped. Hated it. Before I could fire back, the DJ announced the couple's first dance. My heart plummeted. The crowd parted. All eyes turned to us. "Oh no," I whispered. "Oh yes," Liam corrected, offering his hand with a theatrical bow. "Shall we, wife?" I wanted to melt into the floor. Instead, I placed my hand in his and let him lead me to the dance floor. The music swelled. His hand settled at the small of my back, warm and sure. My breath caught. "This is insane," I whispered. "Maybe," he said softly. "But at least we're good at it." And as he spun me under the twinkling lights, the strangest, most terrifying thought flickered through me. For the first time all weekend, I felt seen. If the first dance was a nightmare, the toasts were pure torture. Ethan's father stood, raising his glass. "To Liam and Emma," he boomed, voice carrying across the tent. "May your marriage be as strong as the Prescott name." Laughter, applause, cheers. I wanted to crawl under the table. Across from me, Ethan didn't even blink. He swirled his scotch, nodded politely, and checked his phone. Again. Beside me, Liam clinked his glass to mine with a grin that could only be described as devilish. "Cheers, Mrs. Prescott." I hissed, "Stop calling me that." "Why? You married me. By mistake." "Details." I pressed my palms to my eyes. "This can't go on. Tomorrow, we go to the courthouse, annul it, and pretend it never happened. Sounds simple enough, Liam said. But his tone was too casual. Way too casual. Suspicion prickled. Why do I feel like you're not on board with this plan? He leaned back, chair tipping dangerously, and smirked. Because between now and tomorrow, we've got about 200 guests who think this is the love story of the century. Unless you want to be known as the bride who married the wrong twin and bolted after dessert, we'd better play nice. My stomach lurched. The tabloids. The gossip. My mother's face if she learned her daughter's wedding was the scandal of the season. I groaned. So what? You want us to fake it? Bingo. He tapped his glass to mine again. We smile, we pose. We convince everyone this is the happiest accident since sliced bread. Once the dust settles, then you can quietly ditch me. I opened my mouth to argue, but just then my mother swooped in, her eyes shining with happy tears. Oh, sweetheart. She clasped my cheeks as though I'd won the Nobel Prize. I knew you had doubts about Ethan, but I never imagined you'd have the courage to follow your heart like this. What? I squeaked. She glanced at Liam, positively glowing. Choosing him, it was so brave. So romantic. Everyone can see how in love you are. I laughed. A high-pitched, hysterical laugh that made Hannah look over in alarm. Yes, right. Totally in love. Liam slipped his arm around my waist, pulling me close with infuriating ease. What can I say? She couldn't resist me. The crowd melted into coos and sighs. I wanted to melt into the floor. As the evening dragged on, the act only grew worse. Guests demanded kisses for photos. Liam happily obliged, planting infuriatingly convincing pecks on my temple, my cheek, once even my lips when a particularly nosy aunt insisted. My pulse did treacherous things every time. By the time we escaped to the bridal suite hours later, I collapsed on the bed, face buried in a pillow. This is hell. Come on, Liam said, kicking off his shoes. It wasn't that bad. I lifted my head, glaring. Not that bad? Half your relatives now think I was secretly pining for you and ditched your brother at the altar. He shrugged, unbothered. Makes for a better story. I sat up, pointing a finger at him. Listen carefully. This is fake. Temporary. As soon as we can annul this. Got it. He stretched out on the armchair, hands behind his head, utterly relaxed. But until then we need rules. Rules. Yep. Rule 1. Public displays are mandatory. We sell this marriage, no matter what. I groaned. Rule 2. No falling for me. I blinked. Excuse me. He smirked, eyes glinting. You'd be surprised how many fake marriages end with the bride falling for the groom. Can't risk it. I threw a pillow at him. He caught it, laughing. This isn't funny. Sure it is, he said. You'll see. I flopped back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. I was trapped. Trapped in a fake marriage with the wrong twin, trapped in a performance I hadn't signed up for, trapped with a man who was equal parts insufferable and dangerously charming. And the scariest part? Some traitorous part of me wasn't sure I hated it. The morning after the wedding, the sunlight streaming through the bridal suite was deceptively serene. Birds chirped, the distant hum of wedding cleanup floated up from the garden, and for a moment, I almost believed life could return to normal. Almost. Liam was already awake, perched cross-legged on the armchair with a cup of coffee in one hand and a smirk that made my pulse stutter. Good morning, Mrs. Prescott, he said, as though the world had settled perfectly into the chaos of our accidental marriage. I glared at him from the bed, tangled in satin sheets and bridal nerves. Morning. Don't call me that. He grinned and took a slow sip of his coffee. Rule 3, you'll get used to it. I groaned, burying my face in the pillow. I can't believe I'm married to you. Believe it, he said cheerfully. Or we'll never make it through brunch with the entire extended family without someone fainting. The thought made me sit up with a groan. Ethan. My real fiancé, somewhere probably still oblivious to this mess. The thought of returning to him was flat, predictable, uninspiring. And, frustratingly, part of me didn't miss him the way I thought I would. Liam noticed. He always seemed to notice. You're thinking about him, he said, voice quiet now, almost teasing but edged with curiosity. I snapped my gaze at him. Of course I am. I have to figure out how to fix this disaster. He tilted his head. Or maybe you're thinking about me. The one you accidentally married. My cheeks heated. Don't be ridiculous. He shrugged, leaning back. Am I? Or is it just that I noticed things your fiancé never did? I blinked. What things? Like how you hate iced coffee but pretend to like it for appearances. How you hum when you're nervous. How you always tuck a strand of hair behind your ear when you're thinking. I froze. How did he know that? That was unnerving. You notice too much, I muttered, tugging the sheets around me like a shield. Or maybe you just don't notice when someone cares. The words settled in the air between us like a weight I didn't want to carry. Brunch with the families was a spectacle. Ethan sat stiffly at the head of the table, nodding at anyone who addressed him but otherwise glued to his phone. Liam, in contrast, was charming chaos incarnate. He complimented my mother's quiche, made my father laugh until his tie loosened, and even whispered little jokes to me under the table that had me snorting mid-bite. Every time I looked at him, it became harder to ignore the differences. Liam listened. Really listened. Ethan had always been polite, distracted, and emotionally missing. Liam's attention was focused, deliberate, and somehow personal. It terrified me. Later, while helping clear dessert plates, I muttered to Hannah, "This is insane. I'm supposed to be in love with Ethan, and instead, I can't stop thinking about Liam." Hannah's eyes went wide. "Emma." "Yes, I know." I snapped, flustered. "It's a disaster. This isn't supposed to happen. I'm a good girl. I picked the right guy. Not the reckless twin who is amazing," Hannah finished gently. I froze. "What?" "Don't fight it," she said, her voice kind but firm. "You've spent months wondering if Ethan is really the one. Now you're seeing someone else who might be. And maybe you already know your heart's telling you the truth." I wanted to argue to push it all away, but my stomach did somersaults as Liam leaned close, handing me a glass of water. His hand brushed mine, lingering just a fraction too long. I jerked back, embarrassed, and more aware than ever of how wrong this all was. And yet, it didn't feel wrong. Back in the suite later that afternoon, I tried to distract myself by going over the wedding album Liam had sneakily uploaded online. The photos were maddening. Every single one made it look like we had fallen in love over the past 24 hours. He caught me staring at a photo of us laughing mid-dance and leaned over. "See? You're glowing. I told you fake marriages can be convincing." "You make it impossible not to smile," I muttered. His eyes met mine, dark and steady, and for the first time, I didn't argue. "Careful, Emma," he said softly. "If you keep noticing all the little things that make me better than my brother, it might be hard to leave me." I blinked, heart thumping like a drum. "Don't be ridiculous." "Am I?" The question hung in the air like a dare. For the first time in my life, I felt like the world had tilted slightly. Not toward chaos, but toward something thrilling, terrifying, and impossible to ignore. Maybe, just maybe, marrying the wrong twin wasn't a mistake after all. Sunday morning arrived with the subtle insistence of an alarm clock that had been set far too early. Emma groaned from beneath her blankets, eyes blinking against the sunlight filtering through the curtains. The thought of facing the world as Mrs. Prescott made her stomach tighten. And yet, when she opened the door to the hotel suite living room, Liam was already there. Dressed casually in a button-down and jeans, sipping coffee, and grinning as though he owned the world. "Morning, gorgeous," he said lightly, glancing up from his phone. "Ready for round 2 of Act Married?" Emma threw a throw pillow at him, missing by a mile. "Don't call me that. And I'm not ready for round 2. "Too late," he said, catching the pillow in one hand and offering his arm with a flourish. "Breakfast with your family. Here we come. Smile, wave, and try not to trip over the story we're selling." The brunch was a carefully choreographed social performance, featuring extended family, nosy neighbors, and a few local reporters who had somehow caught wind of the Prescott wedding of the century. Emma smiled, waved, and posed for photos with a precision that would make a mannequin jealous. Every laugh, every handhold, every fleeting brush of Liam's fingers was part of the act. But unlike rehearsals, this performance had stakes. One wrong glance, one misstep, and the illusion of happiness could shatter. Liam, ever the showman, was in his element. He complimented aunts, charmed cousins, and even made a few quips that had everyone laughing so hard they forgot to scrutinize the bride's expression. "See?" he whispered as they navigated a sea of well-meaning relatives. "Acting married isn't so bad. You might even enjoy it." Emma shot him a sharp glare. "I'm enjoying it exactly 0%. Things went smoothly, until they had to give a toast. Emma clutched her glass, stomach fluttering. We just want to thank everyone for coming and supporting us." Her words wobbled, and she nearly dropped the champagne flute. Liam leaned close, murmuring, "Smile like you mean it. Even a tiny bit." She glanced at him, and somehow his warm, steady gaze made her nerves ease just a fraction. She gave a small, natural smile, and the family erupted in applause, completely convinced of their marital bliss. But as the afternoon wore on, cracks began to show. Ethan appeared unexpectedly, claiming to stop by and apologize for missing the rehearsal drama. He approached with polite smiles that felt icy and distant, clearly more focused on observing than participating. "Emma," he said, voice carefully neutral. "Congratulations." "Thanks," she replied, her tone clipped. She noticed the way Liam subtly shifted in front of her, shielding her from Ethan's probing gaze. Liam caught her eye and gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. "Don't let him see anything." The rest of brunch passed in a blur of polite conversation and careful positioning. Every smile Emma gave Liam, every laugh they shared, was part performance, part inexplicably real. By the time they returned to the suite, Emma's cheeks ached from smiling and her feet screamed from heels. "See? Not so bad," Liam said again, flopping onto the bed and tossing his shoes aside. "You survived the ultimate public test of fake happiness." Emma sank beside him, arms crossed, exhausted. "Barely." He leaned back, fingers drumming lazily against the armrest. "You know, you're really good at this. Pretending." "Pretending." Her voice cracked. "It's not pretending. This is torture." "Is it?" His grin was infuriating. "Because judging by the way you keep glancing at me and smiling when you think no one's watching, I'd say you're enjoying it a little." Emma's stomach lurched. "Don't be ridiculous." "Am I?" he said softly, leaning closer until his breath ghosted over her ear. "Or maybe you're noticing something you didn't expect. Maybe you're noticing that I actually care. About you. About every little thing." Emma's heart raced. She wanted to pull back, to remind herself this was all a lie, a joke, a mistake. But when she looked into his eyes, she felt something she hadn't felt with Ethan in months. Seen. And it terrified her. That night, back in the suite, Emma stared at the ceiling, replaying the day. Every smile, every subtle touch, every protective gesture from Liam churned in her mind. She shook her head. This was impossible. She was supposed to marry Ethan, her perfect fiancé. Not fall for his twin by accident. But the truth pressed hard against her chest. The more she performed this fake marriage, the more she realized the reality she'd been ignoring. Liam wasn't just different from Ethan. He was better. And the thought made her pulse race with equal parts panic and excitement. It wasn't supposed to happen. I was brushing my hair in the suite mirror, trying to ignore the lingering panic from brunch, when the knock at the door sounded more insistent than polite. "Emma?" "It's me," a familiar voice said. My stomach dropped. "Ethan." I froze. Hairbrush halfway to my head. What are you doing here?" He stepped inside without waiting for an invitation, holding a small bouquet of roses that looked suspiciously expensive. "I wanted to talk. Alone." Liam, lounging in the armchair with a magazine, raised a brow. "Alone, huh? You do realize you're married now, right?" Ethan ignored him. My ex-fiancé, my supposed fiancé, turned toward me. "Emma, we need to discuss what happened. This marriage. It was an accident," I blurted, throwing my hands up. "I didn't mean to marry him." "You married him," Ethan said, his tone sharp now. "We can fix this, Emma." "We can." I cut him off, exasperated. "Fix what?" "That I said yes while I was dizzy? That suddenly everyone thinks I left you at the altar to kiss your twin? Ethan, don't you see? You weren't even paying attention. You were texting your client in Singapore while we We're supposed to be having a wedding. Ethan frowned, taken aback. Emma, I just... You just what? Didn't care? Didn't notice? I snapped. Do you even remember our rehearsal? You didn't look at me once. And now you're acting like this isn't your fault. Liam, standing now, crossed his arms and leaned against the wall. Maybe she just noticed the difference between someone who cares and someone who doesn't. Ethan's eyes flicked to Liam, and I saw the first flash of irritation. You're enjoying this, aren't you? He said, voice low. Liam smirked, unfazed. Maybe a little. But mostly I'm just pointing out the obvious. Ethan turned back to me, his jaw tight. Emma, I still want to make this right. I still love you. We can annul this mistake and get back to the way things were. Please. I blinked, heart pounding. Back to the way things were? Ethan, what way? Ignored? Distracted? Polite but absent? Because that's all it ever was. Ethan's face fell. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. I could see the frustration there, but also the truth. He had never truly seen me. And that was Liam. Liam saw me. He listened. He cared. He laughed with me, teased me, remembered the little things about me no one else ever did. I swallowed hard. I don't think I can go back, I said quietly, almost to myself. Ethan's shoulders slumped. Then what? You're choosing him. I didn't answer. The words hovered in the air, heavy with possibility. Liam stepped closer, hand brushing mine as if to anchor me. Emma, he said softly, you don't have to choose anyone you don't want. But maybe you already know who's right for you. The thought made my heart skip a beat. Ethan gave a bitter laugh, shaking his head. I see. So the right one was standing right in front of me the whole time. The twin. That explains a lot. Ethan, I started, but he held up a hand. Go ahead. Be happy with him. I'll figure things out. He turned and left, closing the door behind him with a finality that made the room feel suddenly too small. Liam let out a long breath. Well, that was dramatic. I can't believe that just happened, I said, sinking onto the edge of the bed. He sat beside me, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating off him. You okay? I nodded slowly. I think so. But I don't know what comes next. He smiled, brushing a stray strand of hair from my face. We keep going. One day at a time. Fake marriage today. Maybe real feelings tomorrow. And the best part? You get to decide when it stops being fake. I looked at him, really looked, and for the first time since the wedding chaos began, I felt a flicker of clarity. Maybe this accident, the wrong twin, the mistaken vows, wasn't the disaster I thought it was. Maybe it was the first step toward something. Right? And as Liam's hand lingered over mine, I realized that choosing between them might no longer even be a choice. The evening sky outside the suite glowed pink and gold as Emma tried to untangle her thoughts. She should have been relieved that Ethan was gone, that her old life was officially behind her. But instead, she felt trapped in another kind of chaos, the one Liam seemed to effortlessly stir wherever he went. He lounged on the balcony railing, watching the city lights flicker below, casual and infuriatingly charming. You're quiet, he said, voice soft. I have a lot to think about, she replied, folding her arms. About me? His smirk was faint but unmistakable. Emma rolled her eyes. Don't be ridiculous. Am I? He pressed, stepping closer. Because I noticed the way you looked at me during brunch. The way you laugh at my terrible jokes. The way you care more than you'd like to admit. Her stomach lurched. I don't care. You do. I don't. Yes, you do. The argument spiraled like a storm. Voices rising, hands gesturing wildly, accusations flying. But underneath the shouting, something else bubbled. Raw honesty, fear, and the beginnings of something neither of them could fully control. You make it impossible not to think about you. Emma finally shouted, throwing her hands up. I can't stop noticing everything you do, everything about you that makes your brother, him, look like a shadow. Liam froze, eyes wide. Then slowly, he stepped closer. Emma. I felt that way for years. I never said anything because I didn't want to get in the way. I didn't think. I didn't think someone like you would notice me. Or want me. Her heart hammered. The words hit harder than any fake kiss or staged smile ever could. You love me, she whispered, barely daring to speak. He stopped, searching her face. Not yet. Maybe I didn't know. But I care about you more than I thought possible. And seeing you with my brother. It hurt. And now, here we are, married by accident, and I can't pretend anymore. Silence stretched between them, heavy and electric. The world outside continued on, oblivious, while inside the suite, everything shifted. Emma's chest tightened. This isn't supposed to happen. I was supposed to marry him. Ethan. But I don't want him. Not anymore. And I don't want to fight this. Fight what? Liam asked, voice low. This. She gestured between them. Whatever this is. He stepped closer, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Then stop fighting it. Emma's knees weakened. Her pulse raced. Her rational brain screamed this is insane, but her heart was finally catching up. Before she could second-guess herself, Liam leaned in. Their lips met. Soft at first, testing, hesitant. Then firmer. Surer. The kind of kiss that erased days of confusion, mistakes, and pretenses. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathless, faces flushed. Emma laughed. Shaky but genuine. That was really inappropriate. He grinned, mischievous again, though his eyes were serious. No. That was exactly right. And in that moment, all the chaos, the mistakes, the fake marriage, they didn't matter. What mattered was the truth that had been hiding in plain sight all along. Emma and Liam belonged together. The morning after the balcony confession felt surreal. Emma woke to sunlight streaming through the curtains and the lingering warmth of Liam's hand brushing hers in sleep. For a fleeting moment, everything seemed perfect. Private, safe, and real. Then reality hit like a ton of wedding decorations crashing from the ceiling. Her phone vibrated incessantly. Messages from her mother. Where are you? The family brunch starts in 30. Her father. We need to discuss next steps. Now. And inevitably, one from Ethan. We need to talk. You can't ignore me forever. Emma groaned and buried her face in the pillow. Liam stirred beside her, yawning. Rise and shine, Mrs. Prescott. Time to face the public again. I don't want to, she muttered. Too late, he said, grinning. We've got obligations. By brunch, the entire extended family had gathered. Emma could feel the scrutiny pressing down like a spotlight. Every smile, every laugh, every small gesture was under observation. Her mother squeezed her hand, beaming. Everyone adores you too. You're perfect together. Emma forced a smile, glancing at Liam, who winked. Fake it till you make it, he seemed to say. And then Ethan appeared. He stood at the edge of the room, tall and polished, but his eyes were sharp, wary. Emma, he said, voice steady but tense. We need to resolve this. Now. Emma's stomach twisted. Liam stepped in immediately, positioning himself beside her, hand lightly brushing hers. I think everything's resolved, he said casually, though his jaw tightened. Ethan's gaze flicked between them, suspicion mounting. Don't act like you're in charge here, Liam. Emma, come with me. I'm not going anywhere, Emma said firmly, heart racing. Emma. Ethan's tone softened. We can still fix this. We can annul it, pick up where we left off. I don't want to pick up where we left off. Emma's voice rang through the room. Heads turned. Murmurs rippled. You weren't there. You didn't notice me. You didn't see me. And now I can't imagine being with anyone but Liam. The room went silent. Even Liam looked slightly stunned by her conviction. Ethan's jaw tightened. So that's it. Yes, Emma said, holding her ground. I'm married to Liam now, and this is right. It may have been an accident, but it's the only thing that makes sense. There was a pause, an electric pause, where the entire family seemed to collectively hold its breath. Then murmurs of approval began to ripple through the relatives who had been silently rooting for the Prescott sons to find happiness. Ethan's face fell. I see. He straightened his suit, gave Liam a final glare, and left without another word. Relief and tension crashed through Emma simultaneously. Liam exhaled beside her. Well, that was dramatic. Dramatic doesn't even begin to cover it, she muttered, letting herself sink into him. He brushed a loose strand of hair from her face, eyes softening. You did the right thing. You chose what made you happy. And that's all that matters. Emma leaned against him, heart still pounding but lighter than it had been in days. The family around them buzzed with whispers and congratulations, but she barely noticed. For the first time since the wedding chaos began, the storm of misunderstandings, mistaken identities, and fake smiles finally felt like it had reached its calm center. And at the center of it all was Liam, the twin she had never expected to love, the twin who had turned out to be exactly what she needed. The evening air was warm and golden, filled with the soft hum of wedding lights and the distant laughter of lingering guests. Emma stood on the balcony of the suite, the city sprawled below like a glittering map of possibilities. She had spent the day replaying every moment, the rehearsals, the accidental vows, the brunch, the confrontation with Ethan. Every choice, every mishap, every unexpected spark with Liam had led to this moment. She didn't need to think anymore. Liam approached silently, holding 2 glasses of wine. He handed her one, and she accepted it with a small smile. Thinking? He asked, leaning against the railing beside her. I am, she admitted. But it's not really thinking. I know what I want now. He raised a brow. Do I get to hear it? Emma turned to him, her eyes steady. I choose you, Liam. Not by accident. Not because of the chaos or the mistake or the world telling me who I should love. I choose you because you see me. You care about me. You make me laugh. And I love you. Liam's jaw slackened for a brief moment, and then a slow, radiant smile spread across his face. You really mean that? I do, she said, smiling back, heart pounding. No pretending. No performance. No mistakes. Just us. He closed the space between them, taking her hands in his. Emma, you don't know how long I've waited to hear you say that. I've loved you for longer than I can remember, and now it's real. Not fake, not forced. Real. Tears pricked at her eyes, but she laughed softly, the sound mingling with the evening breeze. You better not get all sentimental on me now. Too late, he said, leaning in. Their lips met in a kiss that was neither hesitant nor testing. It was full, confident, and true. The culmination of every accidental, chaotic, hilarious, heart-stopping moment that had led them here. When they finally pulled apart, Liam rested his forehead against hers. So, this is official, right? No going back. Emma shook her head, smiling through the flutter of nerves and joy. No going back. Only forward. Together. Behind them, the sounds of the city continued. Cars, laughter, the faint strains of music. But it all felt distant, like the world had narrowed down to just the 2 of them. Then I guess it's time to start the real adventure, Liam said, a mischievous glint returning to his eyes. Mrs. Prescott. Emma laughed, lightly swatting his arm. Don't call me that. Oh, who am I kidding? Call me whatever you want. I'm yours. And in that moment, the accidental vows, the mistaken identities, and the chaotic wedding rehearsals all faded into the background. What remained was a love born of unexpected circumstances, strengthened by honesty, and sealed by choice. Emma had married the wrong twin by accident. But she had found the right one by heart. And nothing could be more perfect than that. The sun was just beginning to dip behind the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and gold. The garden was quiet, transformed from the chaos of the wedding into an intimate sanctuary of flowers, lanterns, and twinkling lights. Emma adjusted the simple flowing dress she had chosen. Not her wedding gown, not the one forced on her by accident, but one she had picked herself. It was comfortable, elegant, and felt like her. Liam waited at the small wooden arch, dressed in a crisp suit, the mischievous glint in his eyes softened by genuine emotion. His hand reached out to hers, steady and warm. Ready? He asked softly. Emma smiled, her fingers intertwining with his. More than ever. The officiant, a close friend who had been in on their chaotic wedding from the beginning, stepped forward. We're gathered here today to witness something truly special. 2 people who have found their way to each other, not by accident, but by choice. Emma's heart thumped as she looked at Liam. His eyes were fixed on her, full of warmth, love, and a quiet promise. Liam Prescott, she began, voice trembling but clear. From the moment I accidentally married you, you've shown me more care, attention, and understanding than I ever expected. You've made me laugh, challenged me, and noticed every small detail about who I am. I choose you. Not by mistake, not because of circumstances, but because I love you. Completely, endlessly, and with all my heart. Liam squeezed her hands gently, lips twitching into a smile. And Emma Collins, the officiant prompted. Your vows. Emma laughed softly, a sound full of relief and joy. I already said them once by accident, but I'll say them again, properly this time. I promise to love you through chaos, through laughter, and through every unexpected twist life throws at us. I promise to see you, to support you, and to choose you every single day. Not by accident, but by heart. Liam's eyes shimmered as he took a deep breath. Emma, you've turned what started as a complete disaster into the happiest thing in my life. I promise to love you, protect you, and be the person who makes your heart lighter every single day. I choose you. I always will. The officiant smiled, stepping back. Then by the power vested in me, and with witnesses who can attest to this love, I now pronounce you husband and wife, officially, intentionally, and wholeheartedly. Emma's chest swelled with emotion as Liam kissed her. Not the accidental, chaotic kiss of their first wedding, but one full of certainty, tenderness, and joy. When they finally pulled apart, the small group of friends and family applauded softly, their smiles genuine and warm. No cameras, no social media, no staged moments. Just love made real. Emma rested her head against Liam's shoulder, the world around them quiet and perfect. We did it, she whispered. Yeah, he said, pressing a gentle kiss to her temple. We finally did it right. And for the first time since the rehearsal mishap, Emma felt completely at peace. She had married the wrong twin by mistake, but in the end, she had found the right one by choice. Together they stepped forward into the soft glow of evening, hand in hand, ready for a lifetime of real love, real laughter, and real vows. No accidents necessary. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more original novel stories. And stay tuned, our next story is coming soon.